welcome back to another edition of the Pitch Putt and Puff podcast. My name is Roger, aka RGB. Appreciate everybody tuning in this evening. Before we get rolling, got to give a shout out to our sponsors. First and foremost, 420 Bliss, located at 740 Hoosick Road in Shore, New York, right up in the Walmart Plaza. Make sure you stop in there, check them out. Everything you're looking for, flowers, pre-rolls, edibles, vapes, you name it, they got it. Make sure you let them know the Pitch Putt and Puff crew sent you. Also, if you don't feel like leaving the house, they do have a delivery service. Just log into 420-bliss.com and they'll bring it right to you. Also, you got to give a shout out to Trouble Off the Tee, Marty and company over there. You got a promo code RGB for 15% off site-wide, as well as a limited time offer on the polos for the buy one, get one free on the polos. Promo code PUFF, as well as his book on Spotify, Trouble Off the Tee. So make sure you check them out, troubleoffthetee.com. Tonight, we're getting into the cannabis world, though. Going to be introducing Riana. Did I say it right? Riana, right?
Yeah.
All right. Riana, she's a rep for Jaunty. Appreciate you jumping on.
Of course, man. Anytime. Glad to be here.
Yeah, we were actually supposed to link up a while back, and I didn't realize it until I met you last week. And when I seen you, I was like, wait a second. She was with Lindsay with New York Can Women. She got food poisoning or something. We had to reschedule. And I just been so damn busy, I forgot to reach back out to her. So that's on me.
You're good, man. You're good because you came around anyway.
Yeah, it works out. It works out. Literally, I reached out to one of the Jaunty page on Instagram, and they linked me up with you. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the industry?
So, hi, my name's Riana. I have been on the legacy side of things for the past 25 years. In the past 5 years, I've really gotten into the wellness consulting side of things. How does this plant work with our bodies? How can we use it to experience every day a little bit better? So that's a lot of my background in a nutshell, like advocate all of the things. And back in January, I got hired on by Jaunty to be their first actual like boots on the ground sales rep, because before me, it was the CEO and the CRO running around trying to do sales.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I got to be the first. I got to be like the ultimate Haze project.
Nice. So what's the difference with what's a legacy? Like I've heard that numerous times. I'm not what is that? Because I'm not even quite sure if I understand.
So legacy is the polite way of saying that I came from the illegal side of cannabis.
Okay.
Yeah, I started in distribution when I was about 13 years old. I will be 39 in July. Okay. So I started when I was introduced to the plant. I got wrecked with a couple of friends, and everyone thought it was just going to be a good time. I went home and I slept that night for like the first time ever. I have childhood PTSD, which still translates into adulthood, into anxiety and some schemas that make me interact with the world a little differently. And cannabis made me feel normal. Mm-hmm. So I felt normal. I could sleep and I was like, what is this wonder thing? And why is it illegal?
Right.
So I went to my first cannabis rally that summer, barefoot in downtown Albany going, give us medicinal weed now. Like I knew anything.
Right. Right.
And here I am today. So like, it's the only thing I've ever wanted to actually do is work in this industry and help uplift the plant and how people interact with it.
Mm-hmm. And people don't realize, like we were just talking, like the medicinal purposes of it, like, the CBD side of it, even like, I get a sore back, I rub some cream on there, boom, mm-hmm. I'm good to go. Like before, if I told people that, even myself included, like I was kind of like CBD, I was like, oh, does it really work? Yada, yada, yada. And then I actually used it and I was like, wow, this is actually making a difference. Or even prior, mm-hmm. if I had some kind of pain, I would smoke and then my back would stop hurting, or whatever muscle was bothering me from playing sports my whole life, it would be gone. It was more of like I was using it as a recovery opposed to just do what they get, catch a buzz and go giggle in the corner for a little while.
And athletes are using the plant for that now all the time. They're using it pre-workout. They're using it post-workout. They all have their different regimens. I don't get down with the athletes. I don't consult them because like I've never been I'm a farmer.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I homestead. So like my exercise is like, chase that chicken.
Yeah.
So like, there's some things that I can translate over, but like when we start talking about the plant from a wellness side of things, an edible is going to suit you better than most like J's or bowls or bongs are going to when it comes to physical pain, because they actually like relax the body because they process through the liver. So when you're considering the plant for like what it's capable of in each of its forms, you can really start to cater to each individual thing that we have. And like cannabis is not a be all to end all, but it is a really damn good tool.
Mm-hmm.
And CBD, like with your mom, it's an amazing tool. CBD, we dub it as like a catch-all for like pain and anxiety, and it's not. It does. There have been tons of studies that show its anxiolytic properties, but we're not there yet. So right now we're going a lot on anecdotal stuff, and then the few little bits and pieces of science that we do have, and we're just putting it all together to see like what is she capable of.
Right.
Yeah, it's wild.
It is really crazy. So you've been with Jaunty for a year. You were very nice enough to stop by the studio the other night and drop me off some samples. I was telling you this green apple, I believe it is. Yep.
Yep.
This thing is lights out. Like I just sit there and just keep puffing away on it, puffing away. The taste, the flavor, you can taste the terps. Everything about it is top notch. And then the edibles, I didn't get into the edibles yet because I'm the type where I have to have nothing to do when I do edibles because I fall asleep. Like as soon as they start to kick in, I slowly get so tired and then boom, I'm out. And then I think the ones you gave me were nighttime ones.
Yeah, the dream berries. That's got
yes.
10 milligrams of CBN in there. So it's meant to be that warm hug that holds you down.
Yep.
So like when I'm with customers, I'm always telling them like if you're working with, you know, one of your consumers is a woman and she's of menopausal age, like she needs something with CBN in it because it's going to help her get more than 4 hours of sleep.
Gotcha.
And then they try it and they're like, what just happened? And it's like, you got held down. That's what happened.
You got stuck. You got absolutely stuck to the couch. And that's, I don't usually mind that, but I got a little one running around, so I got to stay active. I can't be popping a couple gummies and like, boom. Especially like chocolates. Chocolates put me down instantly because obviously they digest a little bit different. I learned that through a past guest, but the gummies, like it's a slower kick, but I've been starting to, like I had a guest on the Rogue Shop from Texas, and she said, take them early. If you feel like they take longer to hit you, take them earlier in the day. Yeah. So I started doing that. Like on my way home from work, 5, 6 o'clock. And then by like 9, 10 o'clock, I feel it. And I'm like, all right, I feel it in my body. It's not like the head high where I'm like, oh, I'm stoned. It's like, oh, I'm just really relaxed. Let me go sit on the couch. And then I'm in the couch, literally stuck in the couch. But that's the whole purpose of it. I'm looking to relax.
Yeah, the interesting thing about edibles is the way they actually process through the body is completely different than how, like, when we're smoking. Like, this processes differently because it's hitting my lungs instantly, so it's just going directly into the bloodstream. Whereas when you're eating an edible, everything you've eaten that day or haven't eaten that day is going to affect how much of it is actually going to come through, but it acts as a muscle relaxant. Like, so when you're looking at edibles that are billed as sativa or indica, they could be made with those plants. Like, I'm not saying those products aren't made with those plants, but unless you're doing something like the company Wild does, which is just put in a boatload of terps that are that kind of a lean, you can't specifically say, well, this is going to be an indica, so this is going to be relaxing, or this is going to be a sativa, so this is going to be uplifting. So like, you have to adulterate it in some type of a way to make it happen because edibles just work on the body differently.
I even had a couple of years ago, a buddy of mine, he was based out in Arizona. He brought home this THC lemonade. And so here's the story. I don't sleep. I've had this, like, I'm the type of person, if there's, like, as a kid, I hated sleepovers. I was always the last one to go to sleep. Like, I don't like sleeping in rooms with other people. I'm just always been like that. I'm afraid I'm going to get marker on my face or whatever the case may be. So my buddy came out and he's like, Raj, you got to try this. And we bust out little shot glasses, like little plastic wine cups. And I do 2 shots of this lemonade. I think there was like 500 milligrams in like a Gold Peak lemonade bottle. This knocked me on my ass so bad because I never really did edibles, but also the way the drink hit me different. I slept on the couch for 6 hours in front of 20 dudes at like a guy's weekend. Passed out on the couch. Like I missed the lunch. We went to this big lunch. I slept right through it.
Did you have your shoes on? Did they draw on your face because you left your shoes on?
Nope. I did have my shoes on. No one drew on me. They were like, Rod, you were sleeping so good. Like we made sure you were breathing a couple times because you were out. My buddy Joe, who brought it, he set up a hammock in the foyer of the place, and he was sleeping in the hammock for 6 hours. So they're like, well, what the hell did you two do? I'm like, that fucking lemonade, man, it just put me down.
people don't realize. They think, well, I smoke all day long, I have a tolerance that's crazy. And then they eat like a 5 milligram edible and they're just flatlined. And they're like, what happened here? And it's like, a different part of the body processes that.
Yeah.
Cheers.
I heard, because I learned that actually Joe Rogan broke it down years ago, and he was saying like how he got into the details of it, of like when it breaks down, it basically the THC turns into something different when you eat it. So it triggers, I cannot remember the name of whatever it triggers, but it's a different like psychedelic high opposed to just smoking, like you were saying.
It is when it breaks down, the molecular structures shift a little bit. So like everything's interacting with the body in just a different way. So it's just different. Edibles are a very beautiful experience. I wish I could explain the science behind it. I just know like the very basics of like, they're going to pass through the liver. It's a double pass. They relax the body. They're going to make you want to sleep unless you add like caffeine to them or like, matcha, things that are going to be uplifting. But it's just, they're a totally different high. But like, I know we've got the Jaunty line and we've got the Resonator line, and they're two totally different lines. Like,
that's this one here. Yep.
Yeah, those are made with hash. So like those are going to be full spectrum. So like if you're used to smoking flower like I am, hash gummies are going to get more of that experience because it's a solventless extraction. So like when you're eating our Resonator products, you're getting those minor cannabinoids, those terpenes, and those flavonoids you would naturally be getting from flower. You may not be getting as much, but it's why it feels different. It's a nicer, warmer feeling. It just makes you feel right. Whereas like the Jaunty ones, they're amazing. And everyone has a specific way they want to get there. Like I know a ton of people that love Disty and they're like, I only want Disty. This is what I enjoy because it gets them higher. So like when you're taking the Jaunty gummies, they're going to get you really high. The Dreamberry is going to knock you out. So it's everyone's got something different. Hash gummies have that hash flavor. So like you and I are probably used to the old school like edibles that we would make in the kitchen. They taste a little bit more like there's weed in there. We cover that up really well, but you'll notice it that last little bit and you'll go, oh God, that's reminiscent.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's that
Remember
good shit.
Remember that shit? I remember my senior year of high school, a couple of girls made a bunch of brownies for the graduation party. And they called me and they're like, how do we do it? I'm like, I don't know how to do it. So I don't even think YouTube was a thing back then, really. So somehow, some way, they figured it out. And these things put all of us on our ass. Like we were all just giggling the whole night. Because at that point, we weren't like everyday smokers. We were weekend warriors, if anything. And those things, that was the first time I ever did edibles. And that was an experience.
So your viewers know, if you go to the Google, the magical Google, and you type in cannabis calculator, edibles calculator, you can type in all of the things that are on the package already. So like if you go to your local dispensary and you get like an eighth from like Dank or something, it'll tell you how many cannabinoids you can expect in there, like the THC count. And it'll tell you all of the things that you plug into the calculator, and then you put in how much oil or butter you're going to use, and it tells you what your serving sizes are. And you can break them down in different ways. There's a bunch of different calculators out there. They're free.
No shit.
Please know what you're putting in your person.
So then is that a way to tell the THC level in what you're, obviously tells the THC level of what you're per serving kind of thing too then, right?
Yeah, so like even with all of our products, there's this code on the back, this QR code. This QR code, you can see them on yours. This is going to take you to the certificate of analysis, and it's whether you're looking at our products or you're looking at something from a flower company, and that's going to tell you like all of the things you can expect that are going to be in this package. How many milligrams of THC? Is there any CBD? Is there any CBN? What are the terpenes that are in there? And all of us across New York State are using this. Most other states use this as well. Everyone's reporting is a little different, but here in New York, it's right on the back. So like you can pull this up. If you were to go to jaunty.com, you can pull up all of our COAs. We keep them right there. It's publicly accessible. So you guys know what you're getting. But like when you're cooking with stuff, any product you buy from New York State will tell you what's in it, how much. The bottom of this one, it says THC 900 milligrams per package, CBD 7 milligrams per package. Ooh, it says it on the very, very bottom.
Yeah.
So like, if you wanted to take this apart and cook with it, you could. It's gonna be virtually flavorless.
Right.
So like you can cook with these, you can cook with Critical. So you don't have to cook with flour.
No
That's
shit.
the nice thing. Yeah. We're hoping to come out with cooking cards pretty soon because like this is something you can experience cannabis in all of the different ways. And our resonators line, that's all hash and rosin. Our Critical line, that's all rosin. You can cook with those. Our tinctures from Jumbo Dose, you can cook with those. All of them can go into your foods, your lotions. So like you don't even have to go out and buy lotion. If you're a homesteader like me and you want to be like a little bit cleaner about your lifestyle, buy some shea butter and then mix one of our concentrates right into it. And you've got an activated like lotion that you can use for when shit hurts.
Right. Huh. That's
and
crazy.
it'll tell you right on the package what's in it. Exactly how much. It's a little bit of math.
Yep. And if you got a calculator that's going to do it for you, how difficult is it, really?
Yeah. So like when you're working with flour on the market, you don't have to pull the COAs necessarily. Most of that should be right on the package. And you can just plug that into the calculator. Like, well, I went out and I got an ounce of X and I'm only going to use an eighth of X. So if I put that into 2 cups of butter, what do I get? And it breaks it down. So you don't have to know the witchcraft behind it because we have the internet.
Right. Use it. That's how I figured out to get this podcast up and roll. I watch so many damn YouTube videos. I'm 40. So in school we did like word processing. We didn't do Googles. We didn't have Google searches and YouTube and all that shit to go and find stuff.
Yeah, so no, the year I was graduating, which is probably 2 years after you, we didn't have any of that. We had like these massive Apple computers that like if you sat there with dial-up real patient, you could get somewhere.
Yeah, like AOL Instant Messenger was popping back in the day. That was the coolest thing we had. That was it.
Yes.
Now you got the world at your fingertips, literally now. So it's
like everyone's worried about kids online now, and they should be. But like when we were young, there were no limits. It was the dark web.
Yeah, there was nothing like remember the chat rooms and stuff, the creeps in the chat rooms and all that shit. It was crazy.
Everyone's just tossing up their age, gender, and what state they're in.
Yep, I mean, that's crazy. Like to look back, it's so crazy. It really is.
Like the shit we got away with, and we're still here. Yeah, we're alive.
Yeah, we're probably a lot of us are probably lucky though. There wasn't camera phones around, or we wouldn't be here.
We'd all be in jail.
Pretty much, no doubt about it. I know definitely a few guys I hung out with.
I may have done a very, very illegal psychedelic at the airport and just sat there and watched planes that stopped flying 3 hours prior to. And when the cops showed up, I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense.
Yep. There hasn't been a plane leaving here in about 4 hours, honey.
Like great. This tracks, yo. I'm going to go.
Yep. See you later. Now, so with Jaunty, you guys don't do any flour. It's all disti and edibles?
Currently, correct. Yeah, we work with distillate and hash. Rumor has it eventually one day we're going to do pre-rolls. Rumor is me. I'm begging for it. So like, hey, everyone, send us emails. I want pre-rolls.
Okay.
But we work within the distillate space and we work with CO2 extraction for that right now, which is beautiful because it creates less of a peppery nose when you're exhaling your vapes, which is you're not going to sneeze as much as you would with like an ethanol extraction. So like you can parse out that it's slightly more medicinal if you want to like get down to brass tacks.
So that's what makes me sneeze like that is the ethanol in there?
So it's the solvent that's left behind. Yeah. Cause like no solvent, like God, what do they call it? Solvent extraction process after the fact when they're doing all of the cleanup. None of them are perfect. They're damn near. Damn near. But you're also dealing with a concentrate. So like when you take anything concentrated, pollen makes us all sneeze. Even if we're not allergic to it, if we're around enough of it, it's going to make us sneeze. So like when we're talking about concentrating THC, if that's the only thing in there, it becomes a mild irritant. So we're also adding back other things that we've extracted down to their like nitty gritty, and it can become a little bit of an irritant. But that would happen if you just took anything and extracted it. Like if you put bleach on your skin, it can burn. Because it's concentrated. It's something really, really concentrated. but like that's that space. So with the distillate, we add in like cannabis derived terps, which are created by plants that are grown specifically for their terp profiles, which allows us to make like the Jack Herrera that I have here. If my light's all wonky, this is going to give you a flavor profile you would expect from Jack Herrera, but it's also going to give you that uplifting lean you would expect from Jack Herrera. And that's because the terps are actually taken directly from cannabis plants. You're loving the infusions line. Our infusions line, that green apple, that's botanically derived terps. So those come from the terpenes you get out in nature. So like mangoes full of terps, apples full of terps.
Okay.
And we pull those and we concentrate those and we can put those into very flavorful vapes. And they're beautiful. God, they're so nice.
Yeah, this is fire. This one is the first one. I was like, all right, let me try this one. I cracked it open that night just to give it a try, and I was like, wow, this thing hits.
And the nice thing is it's discretion. Like, no one knows what you're actually doing. They likely think you're just hitting an elf bar.
Yeah, that's really what it is too. That's the best part.
Yeah, so like even like most people are just going to be unassuming. They're not going to know what it is, which is a really, really nice thing. But that's made with our distillate. The gummies that you have there are made with our distillate. Yep, there's that infusion.
Yeah, it's perfect though. Look, you said it looks like a pen. Throw it in my pocket. Boom.
Yeah, it's super convenient. Super convenient. Sets you really sideways. With the infusions line, pull the COAs on those, the certificate of analysis, because they do have terpenes in them. So they do have a lean. The melon is very, very relaxing. It's just, it's got so much myrcene in it. I refer to it as knockout juice. So if you have trouble sleeping, melon all day long.
Okay. There was something I seen you said on a podcast too. Or seen on Instagram. If you're not if you can't smoke, there's something you can take that will still give you like what were you talking? I know it was you because I remember I was impressed by it. Something with that wasn't poppy seed or something. There was some kind of flax seed. I think you remember
peppercorns.
Yes, that's it. What was that about? I don't know why
have been dubbed the peppercorn lady because I came out with old hippie lore, which is actually very true, on the Stage One podcast.
Okay, that's where I've seen it.
So black peppercorn, whole or ground, is loaded with caryophyllene. So like when you're in the middle of a green out or a whitey, as some people refer to it as, your body is overwhelmed with cannabinoids. You've consumed too much, whether you've eaten it, smoked it, what have you. You've just consumed too much and your body is going to react in certain ways. One of those ways, clammy hands, anxiety shakes, nervous sweats. Some people will experience an actual drop in blood sugar. I generally just preface this with, it's not everyone. You can eat something and you're fine. No, you don't have diabetes. If someone has diabetes, they are at a little bit more of a risk. Please just make sure you're keeping track of yourself.
Yeah, right.
But what the peppercorns do, the caryophyllene is such a strong terpene that it can overwhelm your senses. And because it's an anxiolytic, it's anti-anxiety. So it calms you down. It gets rid of those, like it's panic sweats. You're basically going into a mini panic attack or anxiety attack because your body's overwhelmed. So you can sniff them, you can eat them. If you have the strength to cook in the moment, some eggs with a lot of black peppercorn on it.
Wow.
It's solid.
That's crazy. Because I remember you saying that, and I was like, oh, that's like interesting. Because there's like, buddies of mine who or get new jobs or something, so they got to take a drug test, and they're like, oh, I can't smoke, and they're craving it, and
that's not going to help a drug test.
No. But I'm saying like they're not smoking, so they're having the anxiety attacks and stuff like that. So if they just took a little peppercorn, that would ease it up because they don't want to do the Xanax and everything else. They're not they try to stay off that as much as possible, obviously.
So one of the things that I hope this helps your viewers. When I talk about terpenes, I want to equate it to something people actually understand because it's a little surprising. But when we're talking about essential oils, like lavender essential oil, chamomile essential oil, if you look on the back of the bottle, it's going to tell you what that compound is that makes up the smell. That compound is a terpene. So linalool is abundant in cannabis it's also the main driver of the smell of lavender. And it's what we use in essential oils. It's what creates that smell. So when we're talking about like caryophyllene, which is what's actually calming you down, the terpene that's calming you down, that's found in a ton of stuff. Basil is one of them. So like if you've got basil around the house, it's going to sound crazy, but like go sit and hang out with your basil and just smell it a little bit. Like I know it's weird, but like they tell you to stop and smell the flowers. That goes for all of them. So like anything that's naturally going to be a relaxant when you're having like that panic attack from consuming too much is going to calm that anxiety down. That's actually like freaking you out and going, I've had too much. Because like anxiety and panic lead to all the other effects you get. So like if you're getting the tunnel vision, you're not breathing.
Right.
Please take a few deep breaths because it's going to bring back your vision to normal. But people are freaked out. They're panicking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Jeez, that's so crazy. You love what you do, huh?
A little bit, yeah.
I can tell just because, like, I think I'm just from talking to you here for the 20 minutes and the short conversation we had before. It's like you just love learning more and more about the process and about the plant and obviously all the creative things you can do with it. That's awesome. It makes your job not a job for you, pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah. Like it's what I do is really simple. I get to go around and embrace bud tenders, give them tools that'll help them do their job a little bit better, a little bit easier for them. And I just get to share knowledge and my absolute love of this plant. And like Jaunty lets me do that. I am grateful for that. And we create some pretty dope products. Like I am a big fan of our resonators line because I'm a cannabis consumer. I like flower. I grow flower. I've been growing for several years. So like hash has my heart. But if you're a brand new consumer, if you're someone who needs like discretion, if you're someone who just doesn't want to smoke flower anymore because it's too harsh, if you're anyone, like the Disty line from Jaunty is really, really nice and it's going to get you where you're trying to go. So like they've embraced the community. They give me an opportunity to do what I love. And that's just go out and love on the people that are in this community. Like you, like I love being able to do, like, I call myself the weed fairy. I show up with weed.
That's it. That was great. Like my buddy, so the other guys, I do another podcast, the Upstate Golf Guys. And those guys were like, who is that? I'm like, oh, it's a rep from Jaunty. I'm interviewing next week. They're like, what was she doing? I was like, oh, I just got a couple samples. And they're like, what? Like, how do you? I'm like, dude, I just had the conversation. I want to see. Because I had one of your cartridges before I got in a sample pack from Ty. I want to say it was sour diesel, possibly.
Which is lovely.
I think probably was the sour. Loved it. But then I was getting so many, so I've been trying so many different. But like, I'm a sour diesel is like, that's my shit. Sour diesel, Jack Herrera are my top two all time that I smoke.
You like to be uplifted is what I'm hearing. You need that extra kick in the ass of energy because sour diesel, that's clean your whole house juice.
Yeah. Like I used to like smoking and going and playing basketball all day. Like I loved it. Like people would be like, how do you run up and down? I'm like, a court after smoking. I'm like, dude, I'd get creative. Like I throw like a pass I wouldn't throw if I wasn't smoking. I'm going to throw that pass or I'm going to try this shot or whatever the case may be. And those two were always my two favorite. That's like the first headies I got back in the day. Once we got off of the beasters around here and the headies came around, those were the two that I got. And I was like, from that point on, I was hooked.
I miss my BC beasters so bad.
I missed the price on them.
Oh my God, it was like 30 an eighth for fat nugs.
They were beautiful.
Always good. And then British Columbia basically got set on fire by the cops, and all of us little weed dealers had to go back to selling brickweed and mitts and go. Can someone grow better shit?
So I remember some of the shit we were getting back in the day, and it was like it went from really, really good to like really bad, and then all of a sudden it started getting really good again. But the prices went through the roof because we were sitting on the dirt for so long. The Arizona, they used to call it. And then it's just finally, then you got the Jack and the sour, but people were charging crazy prices for it. When you're a kid, you can't afford to do that. $70 eighths and shit were going around. It was crazy.
I remember the first time I got exposed to Blueberry Kush. I looked at I didn't understand science when I was young. Like I took human biology, got a C in the class. I have a human and a biology. So if that tells you like I have to really love this plant to know what I know because I
Right.
don't even know this. But like I had a friend bring me blueberry kush. I had to have been like 19, maybe 20.
Right.
And I opened the bag and I'm like,
This
what
was the
is this?
this was the summer I turned 21. I remember this when this hit the area. I
Yeah.
100% remember this.
And they're like, they call it a hybrid. I'm like, so did they just take like a weed stalk and just duct tape it to a blueberry plant? And
It
no
was
one knew
fire.
back then. And now, like, we know how that pheno hunt happens and how we get them to express these different things. But like back then, I was just like, yo, there's blueberries in this bag and I like it. And I
Yeah.
don't know why.
I remember it was my 21st birthday. We were up in Saratoga and we were smoking on the deck at Gaffney's, and people thought we had a flavored cigar because they didn't know any better. That's how crazy that shit was. Like there was like
Dude.
10 of us up there. We had like 2 or 3 of them going. Police were walking by and everything. This is 2003, 4, and no one fucked with us the whole time because they thought it was flavored cigars. And guys were smoking cigarettes around and everything else. And we had regular cigars too. So it looked like it, and no one messed with us the whole time. We were just sitting there all night. That shit was crazy. How the flavors of that. I'll never forget that back in the day. That blueberry.
And now we can walk up and down the street in downtown Albany with a joint hanging out of our mouths,
I know.
and is like no one can say anything.
Nothing. And now they're getting pretty close to just federally. I seen just calling it caboose and making it all legal. You probably know more about that than me because I'm
Yeah,
illiterate when it comes to
I
the
would
news.
like the rescheduling to be a deschedule. Because rescheduling, like, yes, it sounds all well and good. It opens up, it allows businesses to utilize 280E, which is a tax break that businesses deserve.
Mm-hmm.
That's about all the change we're really going to see because it's still technically a pharmaceutical drug. It has to be prescribed by a pharmacist. So like that doesn't change for the states, but it can if the states want it to, because like the states really get to kind of control this for themselves. So it's interesting. Like descheduling would mean that you and I could grow it in our backyard to a certain degree, have a certain number of plants that's federally legal, and we could go to farmers markets and sell it to each other.
Okay.
So we could grow our own medicine in our backyard and not have to worry about the copters going over the tops of our houses.
Oh, yeah.
So it also means that dispensaries aren't living in this gray area. Producers aren't living in this gray area because, like, yeah, this state legalized it, but that does not mean that the feds can't come in and go, give us your money in a shakedown.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, because it sucks too, because like the taxes and like down in the city, for example, like you got the pop-up shops.
Yep.
So you got pop-up shops all over where you can go and get pre-rolls and eights for half of the price that you're going to get them at a legal dispensary. But you also like you don't know what you're getting sometimes. Like I had an experience recently where a buddy of mine got a joint from one of his old friends for his birthday. Well, we were on the golf course and we took a couple puffs of this, and I had to call 911 because one of the guys passed out and wasn't breathing. So you don't know what that. Like, I don't know if you listen to hip hop at all, but Cameron said it. You got to roll your own blunt yourself because your own brother will dust you, and that's pretty much like in a scenario you don't know. You got to be careful nowadays. So like, especially with the vapes, and you hear about kids with on the cartridges now, the fentanyls and the cartridges.
Yeah, like
go spend the extra couple bucks because you know what you're getting at that point too.
Yeah, like everything that's in these from the legal market, there's paperwork that shows what's in it.
Scan the code.
There's paperwork that shows what's in it, so you know what kind of contaminants are or are not present. Because like New York State's, our rules are weird. It's one of those, as long as the people know what's there, let them choose. Which, like, I get it. I appreciate that because the initial like microbe numbers and stuff they came out with had us all going, are you sure?
Right.
Are you sure you want us to like, that's not possible. So like when you're going into one of the illicit shops, which it's really difficult to tell, but like the easiest way to tell, is there a pot leaf on the front? If there is, it's likely an illicit shop. It's in our regs. We're not allowed to use them. Anything that looks childlike and fun and exciting, like says weed on the front in big ridiculous letters or neon lighting, we're not allowed to do any of that shit.
Yeah.
So like, you're walking into an illegal shop. Is some of it from Cali? Yeah. But a lot of it is potentially shit that's been doctored up in somebody's basement. Like, it's not New York State growers. You're not supporting local. You're not doing anything great. You're literally hurting the actual legal market, which is most of us legacy folk coming over and trying to make ourselves into what society deems as decent human beings upstanding the law. Like, help us out.
Right. Seriously.
Help us out. But it's a huge ask because the public doesn't know, because we're not allowed to talk about this shit on the radio or TV.
Right. That's what sucks, because people just don't know any better. Like a lot of times too in the city, I go down around Christmas time. My buddy has a Christmas tree business I go help out with. And you see all the tourists just popping into those spots, and they don't know where they're going. They have no idea. They just know weed's legal in New York, and the cops literally do not give a shit down there at all.
Yeah.
And you literally can just go in, boom, you don't know what you're getting, all this. But like, just in this area alone, I've heard, like last summer, I heard of like 2 or 3 kids allegedly smoking vapes and had fentanyl in it that they got off the street or whatever. Like, why even take the chance? Like, why? Like, just go to somewhere you know it's a legit place, get your shit, go home, enjoy it, and go to bed, and make sure you wake up.
As of June, you can home grow. If there's 2 adults over the age of 21, you're allowed up to 12 plants that are in flower. Okay. So like, that's 2 adults in the home. If it's 1 adult, you're allowed 6 in flower, and 6 in a vegetative state. So it's very, very regulated, but 6 plants on a constant appropriate cycle, and you've got flower. You're going to need to hit up a dispensary no matter what for the first few months while you're working on your first grow, but like, try it, fall in love with the plant through growing it. Yep. And then support your local dispensary when you find out growing it is really difficult.
Dude, I tried it. Yeah. I got about 6 weeks into it, and I was like, yo, this is way too much work. I don't have time for this. And I gave up on it. I gave up on it. Literally 6 weeks in, they were sprouting up. I was doing good. I was all proud of them for the first month. And then I was like, oh, fuck, I forgot to water them today. Or, oh, fuck, I forgot a couple days in a row. And then it just got to the point where, like, ah, fuck it. Just gave up.
It's why I prefer an outdoor grow for my own personal use, or a green door grow, because, like, or greenhouse grow, because I can let everything like deal with itself. Nature's going to handle it. The rain's going to go directly under my greenhouse to the roots, or the rain's going to hit my plants directly, cleaning off any like randomness. So it gives me the opportunity to like mitigate any issues and not have to water them myself, because like watering, feeding, all of the things, tending to their boo-boos, it's a lot, and they're fussy. And the more you fuss with them, the harder they are to grow. But yeah, like, it's the legal market we have now. We've been through hell. Please come out and support us. We're still going through hell.
It's crazy, because that's exactly like Kimber's whole thing was just really get the support. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, it's legal now, so do it the right way. Like, do it the right way. Why risk?
We fought for this.
Right. This is what we've wanted the whole time. So like, we got what we wanted. Now let's take advantage of it.
And I think a lot of that is going to shift, because New York State is opening up the indoor growing and making it a lot easier, because New York State does not have the best conditions for outdoor grows, and they forced us all to grow outside, which leads to issues. So we don't have like the bud people might be expecting from Massachusetts, because they've had indoor grow since the get. And indoor grow, it's not great for terp profiles, and I won't get into that because it's a long spiel. But it is great for making a fat, dense nug. So it's good for that curb appeal that you're looking for.
Right. The eye appeal. So with Jaunty, how big of an area do you cover? Just the Capital District?
So I started out covering everything from Poughkeepsie to Potsdam to Buffalo, and because there is a God of some kind, I now only cover from Poughkeepsie to Potsdam. And this morning we had a brand field marketing rep start who's going to be helping me cover my territory. So like, nice. I actually can get rid of some of the dark circles under my eyes and get some rest.
Jeez, I mean, Poughkeepsie to Potsdam. That's a big territory. Potsdam's a hike. I used to go out there for basketball tournaments.
It's
And we
4 hours from my
yeah,
house.
and it's the back country roads the whole time up. Like it's tough.
I white knuckled it through winter. Like the first time I did it, I had my boss Christian in the car and I'm just holding the steering wheel shaking. Like
Yeah.
we're going to die because it was just we were in the middle of a blizzard. There was already 2 feet of snow on the ground and we were in the Keene Valley. There's nothing there to stay in, and once you're in, you're in.
There's not even a gas station. Like there's one gas station on the whole. There's a wooden cabin gas station. It's the only thing up there. It's on, if you're going up to the Potsdam, it's on your left hand side. I'll never forget it because we ran out of gas. Luckily, in front of that place one time in a diesel truck, and they didn't have diesel. And the guy I was working with at the time, it was some crazy side gig I was doing in my early 20s. And the guy goes, I have a couple gallons I can give you out of my personal stash to get you down to like the Stewart's that was like another 20 miles down the road. And like we literally puttered into the Stewart's. But the best part was the guy I was with, Pete, he goes, Raj, how many joints you got left? I said 2, man, just enough to get us home was the plan. I go, well, it looks like we don't have enough now. He goes, well, spark one now because we're going to need it. And we literally we had to walk probably a good, I don't know, half a mile to get back to the gas station there. But the guy took care of us. We got lucky. We got real lucky.
Yeah, that is straight up luck because I make sure I have gas right before I hit that valley because I don't want to get stuck. Like now it's spring and we're going into summer. It's beautiful country. And anyone who appreciates snow will tell you in the winter it's beautiful country. I have an all-wheel drive vehicle. It was terrifying.
Yeah.
And I did it more than once. I drove into Buffalo into lake effect snow. Like, this is my job. I sell weed for a living. Cheers.
This is it. And that's a different snow. That lake effect's a different snow. You don't know it until you experience it.
Yeah. So, like, everyone, we get you your products, rain, snow, or shine.
That's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. So I usually like to wrap up with 3 questions. They're usually golf-based, but today we're going to obviously change it up to the cannabis world. What's your favorite strain you ever smoked?
I'm a haze girl, so any one of the haze family I would be happy with. But if we're gonna be really specific, it's blueberry haze.
That blueberry haze.
Yeah, the blueberry profile, it stimulates my mind in the right way while also calming my body. And the haze hits you right behind the eyes. So it doesn't relax your body, but it lets you just keep going. It's just, and you can tell you're high. It gives you the whole eye sag. It's
that sting that your eyes are stinging and they feel like they're closing. Absolutely. Excuse me. Who have or would you like to smoke with?
Ooh. So I want to bake cookies with Martha while rolling a blunt and smoking with Snoop. That's like the dream.
Okay. That's legit. There you go.
That's been my dream for a long time. The 3 of us in a room. I'm in my happy place.
That's a nice little sitcom right there. And then what do you want for cannabis in New York in the future?
That's a really big question. And I'm going to answer as Riana, not from Jaunty. I would like us all to start to communicate and really have open, free flowing, thoughtful conversation around what our rules and regs should actually be, and start respecting each other at that table. And there should be a hell of a lot more women at that table because we had to make our own space. Last year we had I think it was maybe 13 to 20% representation in the cannabis industry. And we're now at 36, and it's because we opened our own businesses. That's a problem. Mm-hmm. So open communication and more women, that's the change New York needs. And I think that can be effective in any of the markets across the country.
Yeah, it's all. I usually ask people what do they plan on getting better at in golf in the future. So I had to switch it up to.
I don't know anything about golf. I don't know how to golf. I don't know how to golf in any fashion. I once drove the beer cart at Freer Park Golf in Troy.
Yep, that's where we play all the time.
I did that for 2 months, and I'm like, I hate this. This is business people thinking they're fun. I'm going home.
So totally different now with us out there. On Sundays, we get out there, we're all smoking, having a good time. We don't really have any drinkers in our group, so it's not like guys are getting all banged up on a Saturday night or a Sunday. So we go out there, everybody rolls a couple up for the most part, and off we go.
That's beautiful, man.
It's a good time, and it's great too because there's guys. I got a couple guys who are retired. One's a retired truck driver, another retired county worker. They're older. Then I'm 40. Got a couple guys younger than me. So it's a good mix of guys, and it's people I grew up with. It's people I didn't meet until 3-4 years ago. Now we're all like best friends out there on the golf course, and then we can call each other any day during the week, go out and play around the golf. It's just cool.
I dig that.
It's a good camaraderie. What I'm trying to do though is we're having a golf tournament at Orchard Creek. It's up in Altamont.
Okay.
It's the Cannabis Cup. So New York Autoflower's putting it on. Joe from New York Autoflower. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
I've seen all of this over socials. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's doing that. I'm kind of helping him out with the promotion side of it. So that's July 18th. I want to say the date is. I always get it confused, 17th or 18th.
Nice.
So we're trying to do more stuff like that. I'm trying to work on something myself up in Saratoga. So hopefully I can get that to go through, a little blunts and bogeys style tournament. Ooh. So trying to change, do some different things in the area now that it's getting a little bit more accepted. So
yeah, and
we'll see
if we can, if Jaunty can participate, you know how to get a hold of me and the director of marketing, and we want to be involved in a lot because like that is how we start moving things along. Is we get in front of people, we have these thoughtful conversations, we share the fact that we're not just all out getting wrecked. Yeah, we love to get wrecked. Sure. But there's purpose. There's a why behind you would use the Jaunty products or any other products. And that why is like everything has a purpose. Everything has something it's going to be good at. Just like I'm good with cannabis knowledge. You know how to golf. We all have our things.
Yeah, right. Right. That's what it is. It really is. And like I speak to so many different people in obviously the golf world, but in the cannabis world too. Like I've had Kimber on here from Chime and Chill. I've had the Terp Queen on here, and just the knowledge I get, the Bowler Blunts guys, like I'm not a big I don't do dabs really. I'm not a big dab guy. It's just like, to me, when they first came out, it was such a science project. I just never got involved in it. So like, I kind of just don't do it. But learning so much from these guys about what it is and like how to do it, how much easier the process is for that now and stuff like that. Like it's stuff I would have never even known about if I didn't start doing this podcast and talking to these people, because I wouldn't get the knowledge. Yeah. So like that's what I'm hoping for the listeners, talking to people like you, is, get rid of the stigma and just realize it's more of a medicine than it is anything.
It is.
It's a medicine. That's really all it is.
If you start paying attention to what you're actually consuming, you'll start to notice a pattern of what works best for your body and what gets you where you're actually trying to go. That's it.
Well, I really appreciate you jumping on. Where can everybody find you?
So I am RiTokesOnNy on Instagram. I'm also part of the NY Canna Women on Instagram. Pretty much most of social, you'll find me if you type in RiTokesOnNy. TikTok is where you can find my viral video where I'm way too high talking about peppercorns.
That's where I seen it. It wasn't. I seen it on Instagram. I was like, what the hell is she talking about? And I remembered earlier, like I looked at the video and I meant to write it down and I didn't. And I was like,
yeah, it's literally the worst description I could have given, and everyone loved it. And I'm like, oh my God, enjoy. But yeah, RiTokesOnNy is where you find me. I'm also probably at a dispensary near you.
Awesome. I really appreciate your time. Appreciate hopping on. Love to get you and Lindsay on down the road. For sure, we'll get more into the conversation about the women and cannabis side of it too, especially because my dispensary I'm sponsored by is owned by a female. So shout out Ty.
Yeah.
So no, but really appreciate your time, and Jaunty and the samples from Jaunty and what is it? Resonators. Yeah, Resonators. I'm really excited to get into these blue raspberry.
Those are nice
gummies. Check these out. But yeah, I really appreciate it, and appreciate everybody tuning in. And we'll be back tomorrow with another episode for you. So make sure you tune in. Later.